Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, here we've got a GE console that, as you can see, I have gutted. This is a customer's project. They did the cabinet work that him and his, I think his father-in-law did some of the woodwork, and they did a pretty nice job. But they wanted me to service the rest of it, which was okay until found this guy in there. This is probably the worst GE ever did to one of their consoles. They put this, it's just basically plastic. It might be 10 watts a channel, but it's awful. And it was blown up. And the reason it was blown up was somebody, if I can show you, where's the cables? Somebody had hooked up some external speakers from the main speakers without switching it or any resistance whatsoever. So they blew up one channel and then they hooked them up together. So one channel was driving two channels and blew that up. So, which is quite fine by me. So I said to the gentleman, I said, well, we can try and find you another one of these, but why would you? Because it's just awful. There's a model number, 364. So I showed him a retro mod that I'd done before. I don't do them very often. I like to keep everything original. But I showed him one I did on a Sylvania, and he was over the moon with that idea. Because basically trying to find another one of those, and it's junk anyway, was just a waste of time. The restoration did include grill cloth and what have you. But what we decided to do was, and I've done this before, is to put some new components in. I know a lot of people have asked me about why do I do this or can I do this. I rarely do it unless for this reason, because the original components is total junk. So what we have here is a lot of stuff that I've used before. We have an Angel Horns turntable. It does have a preamp in there, which you need to go with this guy. This is a Dayton. Forget the model number, but this is a nice little Dayton tube amp. I think it's like 50 watts a channel, or is it 25 watts a channel? Anyway, sounds great. It's Bluetooth. I've used it with this guy before, very successfully. So we've got that going on. It's got these like little two preamp units. Looks nice, but they actually are functional. We've got some GRS woofers there to replace the originals. I think they were popped. So they'll go in there nicely. We'll keep the original tweeters. We'll have to mess around with some crossover caps probably. But this, hopefully with these two guys, should sound pretty nice, pretty awesome for this unit. He did choose his grill cloth. He chose this. It's kind of a silver blue gray. This is a Acoustone grill cloth. It's professional audio cloth that lets audio through, not your mum's curtains that you got from what's that, Michael's home fabric store. That's the real deal. Now, what I normally do is as you can see, I've got to put a new baseboard in there. And what I've done in the past is I basically get a piece of wood and then I have to stain it, cut it, boom, boom, boom. Now, it has to be kept thin because height is an issue, as you can see with the turntable and the amp. So height is an issue. So what I've done in the past, I've used this laminated plyboard. It's really a pain to work with because when you cut it, it splinters, and I got to stain it and cover it and you know, varnish it, shellac it, whatever you want to do, you know, stain wise to keep it nice. And then you got to drill holes in the back, which they want to splinter as well. So I thought I'd try something new this time. And what I'm going to do is use laminate. You can cut this stuff with a knife. I've already kind of pre-cut this just so you can see. So this is a new thing for me. One, because it's easier to work with. And two, well, it just looks like the real deal and I don't have to do all that, you know, matching and coating and what have you. And don't forget, it's going to be covered with a record player here and an amp here, so a lot of it's going to be covered up anyway. So this is my first foray with this stuff. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so that's where we are. I'll try and show you as I go through the process here, the steps. But if you've got a piece of junk in one of your consoles, but you've got a nice cabinet, I have no problem doing this at all. If it was original GE, say original GE it is, but you know, one of the earlier GEs with the really nice powerful amps, then I would have just done what I've done as you've seen on my channel before. But this guy, I think it needs a new lease of life. All right, stay tuned. Okay, so I've cut the strips to size, but what I realized is that it's really not true laminate. It's kind of plastic flooring laminate, if you know what I mean. It's not the hardwood laminate. So as you can see, even if it's stuck down, it will flex slightly. So I did end up putting the baseboard in. And it's the thin stuff that I used to use when I would find the perfect grain, stain it, varnish it, lacquer it, poly it. I mean, a lot of work, and of course the edges had to be perfect for it to sit in there. So that's why I'm going to this stuff. A lot less work, and it's going to look better. But anyway, a piece of this needs to go in. Obviously, I'll put another piece in here. So this is firm. I will staple this down with a staple gun, air staple gun, and then this will stick onto this very nicely. I'll clean it off so it sticks good. And as I said, height was an issue. You got to watch this height. And I have tested the Angel Horn turntable, which is the tallest of the components in there. And what I didn't mention before is this has got rubber feet. Let me see if I can show you. So it's got these rubber feet right here. They're just screwed into the board, this kind of wood, faux wood, and there's no isolation whatsoever. So I'm going to use these Sorbothenes. I'll either add them or use them instead. You can see I already tested it. Now, Sorbothene is the premier isolation dampener. It's kind of spongy but firm, so better than foam. So they're going to go on the bottom, and I still have enough room to get it in there, or I'll remove the feet and do my own mount. And the reason for that is reverb. So when those speakers are in there and you crank that baby up, this thing is a boombox, as we all know, and it will transfer reverb to that turntable. As we know, regular turntables have springs with a little bit of foam in there to cushion it from the reverb, but I'm going to use Sorbothene, and we'll see how we do. Okay, so we've got the board in. Doesn't have to be perfect by any means, as you can see, because we're going to cover it with this stuff. So I've got my trusty staple gun right here. I'm doing this one-handed. I've got some 3/8 staples, and we're going to tack some in here. Anyway, something like that will go all over. But I'm going to do this two-handed now. But basically, that's where we are. Okay, so we have the laminate in. And I think it looks very, very good. Not bad at all. Okay, so it's time to remove the speaker boards. They're pretty simple. You can just see some screws right there on the edges. Take those out, and these should pull straight to us. There's a crossover cap. That's a very old one, but we're going to mess around and make sure that these guys are going to be compatible and make good sound with that guy. Okay, so we got the board out. I tested the speakers, resistance good, so they work. And what else? Cloth. I'm going to run the lines this way because that's the way the console's long, not, we're going to go horizontal, not vertical with the lines. We're going to spray this with some Super 77. This is the best stuff for speaker boards. We're going to spray that. We're going to come in, we're going to drop it on, and then we're going to do a bit of stapling, 1/4-inch staples, wrapped all around. And that's another video on how to do that, but it's basically bend it over and get stapling. All right, so there's our There's our cloth glued and tacked. As you can see, let's spin it over. But yeah, very nice stuff, this Acoustone. All right, we'll get the speaker on now. Okay, we got our new speaker mounted, and the great thing is the holes lined up for a 10-inch, which is very, very nice. Didn't have to do any more mounting. I'm going to leave this old 2UF crossover cap because I want to see how it sounds with a 2UF, even though it's probably not. It's probably more like 4 now because it's so old. But it just gives me a good starting off point before I goof around trying to figure out the best frequency to come out of these guys. Okay, we got that one in. And now we're to get that guy going. But yeah, pleased with that. Looking good. Okay, so we got speakers in here. Now, as you can see up there, that's a piggyback connector. So before we start hooking things up, most modern speakers only come with that one connection right there, whereas old style had 2, so you could run off your tweeters and such what. So you're gonna have to get some of these guys or something similar, because when I hook these up, obviously I've got to come straight from the amp to this guy and then jump off to the tweeters and figure out what size crossover cap we're going to use. So that's a project coming. So I got the other side done. Start to come together very nicely. Put the stuff inside because we're going to do some measuring. Yeah, it's kind of looking a little bit kind of contemporary cool. So let me go around the other side here. So I put everything in to kind of line up where it's going to be because we've got to drill some holes. And if you could see down there, it's kind of hard, but that's where the RCA connections are going to come out. So we need to put a hole there. So I'm going to put a mark there, and the same thing for the speaker wires and the obviously the input from the turntable. There's got to be a hole back there. Now we just want to make one hole and not several, and we want to keep it kind of nice and clean looking. So it's in there so I can make some marks to do that. And when you do this, as you can see, I've done a test hole right here. Use a clean bit, sorry, a cutting bit, not a regular drill bit, because it'll make a mess and leave a mess. It'll be horrible. So always try and get a cutting bit. I don't know if that's really what it's called, but anyway, gives you a nice hole like that. This is an inch, probably too much. I think I've got a 3. I know use a 3/4, but that's an inch, but we'll use a 3/4 because you got to get these guys through. Now, I'm going with 90 degree, and obviously you can see why. This is not the right cable because it has 90 degree that side, but I just thought I'd show you that I'm going to go with a 90 degree RCA so that when it comes out, we've not got silly cables sticking out all the way here. Just drop straight down through the hole we're going to make, and it's going to make it look nice, clean, and pro, because that's what we're trying to do here. All right. Okay, so we're all hooked up. It originally was 2UF on the crossover. I went 3.3, and I think it sounds good, because at the end of the day, you've got to do it to your rear, not to what the old specs was. So very happy with that. Just going to do one last thing, and that's add a little bit of foam. Some sound dampening, help that woofer get the bass out. Obviously, I'll tack it with some staples, but yeah, let's keep that bass going that way. Okay, so pretty much done here. I am going to show you why we got the 90 degree angle right there. You see the hole we cut, and I did a bit of staining on the hole itself because that is going to be white wood. But yeah, there's the 90 degree RCAs, and if you come over here, say the same on that guy right there. Ooh, bling bling. So yeah, so there you go. We've got a speaker, a power in. But yeah, the components are in, everything sounds really, really good for a little unit. So yeah, that's it. If you want to customize, hot rod, whatever you want to call it, retro mod, that's how I do it. I hope it helped you guys out, and I will definitely show you it playing on a separate video. Thanks for watching.